this is Neha Shukla from Team Adgully, and this is Tanveer Khan, GM Brand and Marketing, Dunzo with me. Hi, Tanveer.
Hi, Nihal. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
All well.
Tanveer, Dunzo has gained significant popularity in the on-demand delivery space. What marketing strategies have been crucial in establishing and maintaining Dunzo's brand presence?
At the starting, when we started looking to build this brand, we wanted to build a brand that everybody can touch, feel, and relate to. Right? I think if you go back in the journey and the history of brand building exercises, I think some of the brands that's still iconic and still hold true because they have been able to create brands which actually touches people heart, right? Give them a feeling of belonging, give them a feeling of owned, right? And if I have to give you an example, I think Vodafone's right, the Amul Girl is one of the most iconic brand that have been created. So in the journey, when we were looking to create a brand for Dunzo itself, we were very clear that what sort of brand we want to create. A brand that's sort of being your next door person, a brand that you always look up to, a brand that you can trust, a brand is always been empathetic in nature, and brand can always bring a smile on your face. I think from the core of it, we always wanted to build that brand, and I think we are there on the journey. I don't know how much we have achieved it, but every morning when we wake up, I think that's our goal.
Absolutely. So, how do you ensure Dunzo's brand messaging effectively reaches and resonates the right target audience? And what are the factors that you consider when developing the marketing campaigns?
I think few things. Obviously, there's a lot of brainstorming session happen, a lot of debates, a lot of disagreement happens. But the core of it, what we try to solve is that we keep the brand in our communication intact, right? So as a brand, what we do is we deliver groceries to consumers' house in a span of say 19-20 minutes, right? So that's our core brand offering. Now, in terms of what people love to see is a content. What we try to offer is a mixed amalgamation of these two put together in a best art and content form out there to a consumer, right? Now, if you see, there are different wheels that we want to give consumer a content to, right? A content has to be relatable, it has to be share worthy. It's something that sort of makes you feel nicer and happier about it. At the crux of it, you're still seeing the brand Dunzo selling grocery to you, right? But at the same time, are we able to sort of give you that feeling of relatability, share worthy, and getting that smiles on your cheeks? I think that's very important as a brand. So we try to sort of get a balance of what as a brand we service, at the same time what a content a consumer will like in a scenario that we stay in, and we somehow try to get balance. Sometimes we fail drastically. I'm open to admit that, but most of the time I think we are successful in terms of delivering what we want to deliver.
Also, the on-demand delivery apps, it's a very cluttered market and a very competitive market. So as a GM brand and marketing, what are some of the key challenges that you face in promoting Dunzo's services in this competitive market? And how do you overcome these challenges?
I mean, correct. We are staying in an era where the market is too cluttered. The attention span of a consumer is falling, right? I mean, when we sort of scroll on Instagram, it's just like a 2-3 seconds. If we don't like the content, we swipe. Right. So for us as a brand, what we want to sort of address is the attention span. Are we able to tell our messaging? Are we able to hook a consumer in the first 3 seconds so that he's hooked to our content? He should be able to finish the whole content that we have created for our consumer, right? So that's very important to understand what are the few challenges that as a brand, not only us, across the globe, people are facing today, right? And if you're able to understand what are the actual consumer problems, it becomes easier for you to sort of deliver that, right? For example, we talk about the clutter in the market. Every brand is trying to get the attention span for a consumer. By virtue of shift from say television watching to YouTube watching to now Instagram, the attention span has been dropping a lot, right? Are you able to get your consumer hooked to your content in the first 3 seconds? I think that's very important, right? Third, at the core of brand, at a business as well as a service that we do, we always try to be closer to our customer, right? So there's something called listening. As a brand, you have to have in a situation where you have to listen to your consumer. What are the pain points? What are they thinking? What is their lifestyle? What are the types of content that they're consuming? And once you have an understanding of the core ethics, values, and who your consumers are, it becomes very easy for us to go back and solve, right? So as a brand marketer, I think these are few challenges that we face. and we try to go address and solve it. And I'll
Also,
give you
can
one
you
small example for it, right? I'll give you one or two small example. The
okay.
recent video that sort of went viral from our platform where Vicky Kaushal is dancing on the Obsessed song, right?
That's actually really cute.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the most cutest video that we have created. I mean, there's series, but I think what felt very, very right is that the it is already reached to that virality that the song would have, right? So there's a thing that is already reached to everybody's Instagram or a phone for that matter. Vicky Kaushal, for obvious reason, he's one of the most charming celebrity out there, right? What we try to create is to match his style. Obviously, it's very, very difficult. I think our 3D team, the whole design team, and the whole content team sat together every now and then. We are trying to understand how closer we are to that, right? And obviously, our characters, the universe that we have created, obviously, they sort of bring that cuteness, charming thing, as an added flavor. It's like a topping. When you have ice cream, you like ice cream, you add a topping on top of it. So dance step is one hook that we have created. On top of it, I think the whole personality that they carry along with it has added the flavor that people have sort of went back and liked it so much, shared the content. And on our platform, I think one of the most viral content that we have created in a long, long time. But yeah, that's what it is.
And how do you measure the effectiveness and ROI of these moment marketing campaigns? What are the metrics and the tools that you use to evaluate the success or how the campaign is going?
So there are two parts to it. So what we measure is how much effectiveness is giving to your brand health, right? So whenever you create a content, there are two sort of metrics that you follow, right? Sorry. One is on the brand side, what is the health that is giving to your brand? What is the push it is giving to your brand? What is the goodness it is giving to your brand? Right? So that's on the brand measures, right? Second is on the business angle of it, right? And if I have to double click on the brand side of the metric that we measure, beyond the social media metric, that for example, your engagement, how many views it has created, what is the like, share, comments, which overall gives you the engagement rate. For us as a brand, what we really, really believe in is that if you're able to create a content which has touched, which is relatable, it increases your share value. That is the actual measure of your virality. Likes, comments are not exact a function of it, right? But your shareability is the exact definition of your virality. So that helps you to understand how your content is performing at a social media level at an engagement rate, right? Then you have a brand measures, brand health that we got, right? So your awareness metrics, your consideration metric, your spontaneous awareness, right? Your adoption for that matter helps you understand at a cohort level, at a city level, at a geography level, how your brand is performing in terms of top of the mind awareness. That's a very, very important metric for us as a brand market to understand that as a brand, when we are putting out our content in the market, how people are perceiving it. That's very, very important, right? And you can measure it when you do analysis of pre and post. So if your top of the mind awareness is 36% today, and if you do a content and a campaign that sort of elevated to say 50 odd percent, it's sort of also because the content that you have created, the campaign success talks about it, right? So that's on your brand health and brand measures. On a business side of it, I think the very plain vanilla thing. That's your downloads, your sign up, how many orders that you're getting, what is your frequency, what is your retention. I think these are the metrics that we sort of at a core business level we go and follow. But at a brand level, I think social media we measure it differently, and top of the mind we measure it differently other than the business.
Also, it's very important for a brand to choose their moment marketing right so that it aligns with their brand strategy and positioning values. So how do you strike this right balance between relevance and maintaining the brand integrity?
Oh, I thought it's a secret. Uh, uh, No, I think I'm sure you sort of use Instagram and Twitter at your fingertips today, right? And there's where the lot of moments being generated. Honestly, there's no scientific way to do it to understand which moment is going to be big, right? It's about you choose your own moments, right? And a lot of moments happen. For example, we created a video on Natu Natu song, who won Oscar for us. It's a proud feeling for us as an Indian, right? Then for that matter, we created a static post about Vicky Katrina wedding, where a mascot being sad about it, right? Or Kiara Advani and Siddharth Malhotra wedding. or for that matter, the Wiki Kosher, the latest one, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is that there are moments that being created in this country, on the world, at every minute or every hour, and all of them are not relevant for you as a brand. What you need to understand is that you have to pick all those moments at a pre-viral level, try to sort of bring back and stitch to your brand and see which is actually making sense for you as a brand to speak, right? There are a lot of anomalies exist. There are a lot of elements that exist where you cannot go and take a stand as a brand. For example, if I'm sure if you go back and turn your Instagram, we have spoken about same-sex marriage. Right, it's one of the most bold content that we have put in out there. It's not that we wanted to sort of use a moment, but as a brand, we strongly feel for it, and we wanted to speak a lot, about it, right? So we went and spoken about it. So you have to understand what are the moments currently that exist in this country or the world, then evaluate as a brand what you can speak about it, and then you have to find a perfect balance where your brand and that moment should sync together and give you a better product. And I think we try a lot. Sometimes we fail, as I said earlier, and sometimes we sort of succeed. It's just about that. Sometimes it's just a gut feeling. Sometimes it's our whole team coming together and taking that leap of faith. More or less, we find it right. Some of them doesn't pick up, and it's okay. It's a learning experience for us. But we find, because there's certain brand language, brand tone that we have in house, right? And we call it as a everyman a brand archetype, right? We want to speak a language that you want to hear. We want to speak a language where your neighbor wants to speak that language. We want to create a language or a tone or a sound that you want to touch, you want to hear, you want to feel that brand, right? So given that, those are table take that we have to keep intact. But at the same time, how do we, bring a brand element here? At the same time, bring the moment that's happening across, put together, provide a nice dish to you. I'm sure the desserts and the cuisines are right.
Absolutely. But do you see the same kind of consumer behavior and the people viewing your moment marketing in the cities as you see in the tier two and the tier two and the tier three market? Or is it different?
I think the consumption of social media is same. That doesn't change. If you talk about the business use case, I think that's very drastically. Today, people pay for convenience here. There's a need for online delivery, grocery services in a metro city. People really don't have time. They are caught up in their own professional career, right? And we feel there's a use case for it, and that's why most of the brand that you see today exists, right? But when you talk about the content behaves very differently how your business behaves, right? Today content, somebody sitting in say a small city in Bihar versus somebody sitting in a small state in say other part, right? So for example, take Maharashtra, the kind of content that's being viewed is sort of common, right? And that's why in India we say that there are only two things that sort of cut across any language, any region, any barrier, which is basically your entertainment, that is Bollywood or any entertainment, and the second is sports, which also talks about at length that Indian consumer today, in terms of content consumption, has a similar behavior and pattern. And we try to resonate those content across.
Okay. And how, when it comes to data analytics, how do you leverage to make informed decisions regarding Dunzo's marketing efforts? Can you provide some insights into the data-driven marketing strategy within the company?
I think if you go back and turn, what we also sort of understand is that whom are we servicing at, right? So there are a bunch of data that are available at a business level who will understand who are these consumers, right? There's a UXR team, which is our resource team, who sort of always reach out to consumer, understand their behavior, lifestyle, and take feedback on our product. Which talks volume about who are these consumers, what they do, what they like, what they don't like beyond that. So, which gives us a sense of defining and creating a persona for these consumers, right? So once you have those persona, which is being created based on their buying behavior, consumption, and the data that we have, whatever level in our company, on top of it, we have the UXR, which sort of help us with a qualitative, analysis of it, right? So you have a quantitative measure, then on top of it, you have a qualitative measures, right? When you put together, you sort of create a user persona that you sort of caters to. Once you have those user persona, then you sort of go back and start mapping them with sort of what product that they use beyond Dunzo, what content platform that they use, what is their lifestyle, are they sort of goes out and enjoy their life or they stay at home, whatever, right? So once you create those sort of persona belongings to them, you sort of go back and understand, okay, what sort of content that they like, right? And then we get on a drawing board and sort of start understanding, okay, if this is my user, what sort of content that they like. And some of the great content that we have created, if you see Drama Chodo campaign, the choice of a protagonist that was there in those content are there for a reason. If you understand Bangalore market for a reason, those four cohorts of consumer or the protagonists that we have taken are solving one consumer problem that we have today, right? Or for that matter, the actors that we have taken for our Afrish Ka Kya Kaam Hai campaign, they are meant to be solving one consumer problem, addressing them. Okay, this is a problem that we address, right? And once you have those qualitative, quantitative sort of data in your hand, you develop a persona, it becomes easier to build a content for those sort of users. It becomes slightly much easier for us to breathe in terms of building content. But at the core of it, I think what I'm trying to tell you is that you have to understand your consumer. I think that's the core of it. If you don't understand and you create content for anybody and everybody, I don't think it's gonna work. So the core of it, you have to know your customer, you have to understand what they do, what they don't like, and then build a content on top of it.
Absolutely. Coming to my final question, Dunzo being one of the leading brands in the moment marketing, I would like to know if you can share some tips and tricks or some key factors to consider a successful moment marketing that other brands are looking for.
Cool, I can give my email ID if somebody want to understand, they can sort of send them directly. But joke apart, I think what's very important is to understand, I think few factors, I'll sort of quickly touch base. One, you need to understand what business you are in. We strongly feel it, right? You have to understand what business you are in, what as a brand you want to speak. Once you have that understanding as a service, what you do, as a brand, what language, what tone, what sort of word that you use, it becomes easier for you to understand what you want to speak. And then you sort of go back and understand what are the moments that are being created in this country or the world. There are hundreds of moments, honestly. Today, if I open Twitter, Instagram, sure, I can come back and send you 10 links that you should talk about it. But then as a brand, do you have to speak on all those 10 things? I don't agree to that. You have to choose that one thing that resonate for you as a person you are, as a service that you do, and as a brand that you want to speak about, right? And again, you put all these three things together on a plate. It's a nice dish. Everybody will love it. This is the core belief we have. I think we wake up with that feeling that we want to create and sort of do something nicer for the people because we understand as a brand what we do, what service that we are into, and then we choose for those opportunities to sort of bring smiles to the people.
Absolutely, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Tanveer. That's all.
So we are done.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for your time, Nihal.
Thank you.